Welcome back to Quick Concepts. Today we're going to be talking about parallel lines cut by a transversal. But this time, on the last video, we discussed angles of parallel lines cut by a transversal. Today we're going to talk about the sides of those parallel lines and measuring those. So first of all, again, if you're wondering what I mean by parallel lines, anytime you see this kind of thing in your book, that denotes parallel lines. If you see something like this, this is what we call the transversal. So these denote parallel lines. And you can tell because the little arrows, they're showing they're parallel. And these guys right here are called transversals. Okay, so before we talked about angles, today we're going to talk about sides. So I'm just going to put some measurements in here. And we're talking about lengths here. Oops, not sure where that came from. So this is the length of this is the length of this is the length of this. There is two ways to solve this. I'm going to show you both ways, but I'm going to show you what I believe to be the quickest way, okay? There is a scale factor way, and there's a proportion way. Now, when we start out in Algebra 2, when you're going through the lessons, I believe I do both. And then you're going to notice that I just switch over to scale factor, proportions. It's just easier for me. But if scale factor's easier for you, then by all means do that. So scale factor means that we're looking for a factor that somehow measures between this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. So for scale factor, you always start with the two ones that have the numbers. You don't want the unknown. We don't want to start with him. We want to start with these two guys. So we're going to say 2 times some scale factor is equal to 3. So we're going to use a little bit of algebra here, and we can see that our scale factor is 3 to 2. So then, to figure out what x is, we would say, well, 3 times your scale factor is equal to x. So x is equal to 9/2. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Proportions. What I do with proportions, I'm going to show you, is I set it up just like it is. What do I mean? Well, I say, well, 3 over 2, or 3 is to 2, as x is to 3. Notice it's like I just extracted this fraction out and put it on my paper. Then I do some cross multiplication. This becomes 9 is equal to 2x, dividing both sides by 2. X is equal to 9/2. So again, you see that you get the same answer. I personally just think that the proportion is easier to pick out and to see. So let's do a couple more of these just to make sure you are comfortable with them. Okay, so again, we see parallel lines. That screams, oh, there's parallel lines cut by a transversal. So I'm going to call this 5/3 x. This is 6/5. And this is 3/4. Now, once again, I'm going to show you scale factor, and then I'm going to show you proportion. So for scale factor, we start with the 2 we know, and we say, well, 3/4 times some scale factor is equal to 5/3. So we want to get our scale factor alone, so I'm going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. We can see that the scale factor is going to be equal to 20/9. We're going to use that scale factor to solve for x. So we're going to say, well, 6/5 times our scale factor, which is 29, is going to be equal to x. I'm going to reduce. That's going to be 8/3 x. Okay, so that is using scale factor. Now I'm going to show you my proportion way. Again, I kind of look at just say, okay, well, it's 3/4 over 6/5. 3/4 3/4 over 6/5. And don't let the fractions confuse you. Just make that big fraction in the middle. And I would say 5/3 is x. 5/3 is to x. And now I'm going to cross multiply. This becomes 3/4 x is equal to 6/5 times 5/3. I like to cancel out where I can. And then I multiply both sides by the reciprocal. X is equal to 8/3. Again, very simple, very straightforward. I like proportions, but feel free to do it how you wish. I'm going to do one more just to kind of take it home, and then we will stop. Parallel lines cut by a transversal. That should be a straighter transversal. I'm not very good. Scale factor, 4 times some scale factor is equal to 6. Your scale factor is going to be, let's reduce it to 3 2s. Okay, then I'm going to say, well, 3 times my scale factor is equal to x. So 3 times 3 over 2 is equal to x. So x is 9/2. Now, of course, my way, my favorite way, is 3 over 4 is equal to x over 6. It's like it's just set up perfectly for you. Cross multiply. X is equal to 18/4, which reduces to 9/2. And that is it for parallel lines cut by transversal dealing with sides.